Do you know the most dreaded complication of hyponatremia? And what about when we treat hyponatremia? What if we correct it too quickly? What's the complication that happens then? All of this is so juicy for your exams, and that is what's coming up in today's video.
So just to make this a little bit more memorable, I want you to think about water as having severe commitment issues, right? So water is in a healthy relationship, right? There's nothing wrong with its relationship. It's fine. It's relatively happy. But water is restless. It's always looking for something else, right? It's on the apps. It's always looking for the next best thing, looking for the grass is greener situation. But like we say, it's in a relationship already, and it's not a terrible relationship. It's an okay relationship. So water's not gonna leave this relationship for any old Osmo, right? It's looking for something in particular. And water is attracted by tone. And tone is determined by osmoles that play hard to get. Does this story sound at all familiar to you? So tone is determined by osmoles that play hard to get, meaning they stay on their side of the membrane, right? They don't go to water, water has to come to them. And we call these effective osmoles because of the way they behave like this, playing hard to get, water's got to go to them. And some examples of effective osmoles are sodium and glucose. They are classic. And the more toned a solution is, the more attractive it will be to water. So over to you, I want you to tell me the answer to this. So, what is the most dreaded complication of hyponatremia? Cerebral edema. Yes, that is the correct answer. Now, what is the most dreaded complication of treating hyponatremia? Demyelination, yes, onto it. Osmotic demyelination syndrome, and we are just going to come on and go through how both of those things would happen due to a low sodium. So we've got the blood, we've got the brain cells. So if someone has hyponatremia, then there's low sodium in the blood, plenty of water in the blood. In comparison, brain cells are going to look a lot more toned to that water, right? There's going to be a lot more osmoles in the brain cell than what it can see in the blood. So water is going to move into the brain, and now the brain is at risk of cerebral edema, and that's an absolute disaster. So the brain is having none of that. The brain is going to adapt, and over the next 48 hours, it is going to get rid of osmolytes, little osmoles in itself. It's just going to get rid of them, it's going to shed them, and it is going to achieve the exact same tonicity as the plasma. So now the brain and plasma tonicity are the same. Chronic hyponatremia is now going to be fairly well tolerated in many people. But the problem happens if we come along and we try to correct this sodium now that everything's sort of in equilibrium between the brain and the blood, right? If we now add sodium here and increase this plasma tonicity as compared to the brain cells, the brain still has like minimal osmolytes. It doesn't have time to make more. So now water is going to see the plasma and think, oh, that's juicy, and water is going to leave the brain cells and go into the plasma, and that puts people at risk of osmotic demyelination injury. So both cerebral edema and demyelination are obviously an absolute disaster. Osmotic demyelination injury can cause very severe and permanent disability or fatality, of course.
So that was the complications of hyponatremia. I hope this really helped your studies. And of course, if you want to dive a bit deeper on hyponatremia, we have a whole tutorial on this over on our website. We have an interactive MCQ based tutorial, and then we also have a whiteboard tutorial, different ways to really consolidate hyponatremia so that you actually understand it. You can actually solve problems in your exam. Be sure to click that link below and head on over to our website. See you there.